Welcome back to Learn with Chris. I'm Chris. Today I'm going to continue with our prefixes for building vocabulary. And again, we'll have 5 different prefixes to look at. Micro, which means very small. Macro, which means large. Poly, which means many. Omni, which means all or every. And extra, which means outside or beyond. So let's go through micro first. Micro is a Latin word, and again, it means small. So first example is microscope, and that of course is the viewing instrument that you would see very, very small things like molecules or something like that. Opposite of a telescope, of course. Well, maybe not the opposite of a telescope, but it instead of seeing something big, it sees something small. Next example is a microorganism. So that, of course, is very small life, like a bacteria or a virus or something. That would be a microorganism. Then we have microchips, of course, the small integrated circuits that's in your phone or in your computer, microchips. So again, very small. Then we have Micromanage. This is actually not exactly small management. It's actually when somebody manages every single detail of something they micromanage. Like if a boss is micromanaging you, they're checking everything that you do, right? So I guess small comes into it in every small detail they will micromanage, something like that. And then we have microwave. Microwave, so that's the wavelengths. I think microwave wavelengths are between like a millimeter and a meter. That's a microwave. So small wave, basically. Okay. Our second prefix is macro. Macro is Greek, and it means large or long. So the first example is macroeconomics. That's, of course, when you look at economics on like a larger scale, or you look at it at like a whole, not an individual thing, but as a whole, macroeconomics. Then we have Macrocosm. Now, cosm comes from the word cosmos. And when we think of the word cosmos, we typically think of the universe, but actually it means world. I guess because back in the time with the Greeks, that's how they viewed it, right? I don't think they really viewed it as a whole, like universe or anything, right? But a macrocosm would be either talking about the universe as a whole or a system as a whole. That would be the macrocosm. Then we have macrophage. This is, the word comes from, phage means to eat, so large eater. A macrophage it's in biology, it's in your immune system. So it's the white blood cells that eat like foreign substances in your body. So it's a part of your immune system, right? So macrophage, so they're large white blood cells that'll attack and destroy, viruses or other foreign things in your body. So it's a part of your immune system, macrophage. Then we have macronutrients. So the macronutrients, if you ever hear like fitness people talking about, get your macros, what they mean is macronutrients, and that's going to be, of course, protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Those are the 3 macronutrients, and they talk about how important it is, and you have to get a certain amount of carbs and a certain amount of fat and a certain amount of protein. So that's the macros, right? Macronutrients. And the last word is macromolecule. Those are basically big molecules like DNA, proteins, lipids. So again, large molecules. So macro means large. Okay, our next one is poly. And poly means many. But remember, in a previous video, we had multi, which means many as well. So we have 2 different words that mean many, poly and multi. But the difference is poly is a Greek origin and multi is a Latin origin, right? So there's actually going to be words, for example, when we get down to the third example, I'll explain that it's the same as another word from Latin, but this is Greek. So let's just look at them. So the first one is polytheism. Theism means God or gods. Poly means many, of course. So many gods. So a polytheism is a religion system that has many gods. For example, Buddhism, Hinduism, there are many gods in those systems, or Norse mythology, many gods there. The opposite to that would be what we call monotheism. Mono means one. So Christianity, Islam, Judaism, there's one God in those religions, right? So it's a monotheistic religion compared to a polytheistic religion, many gods. Then we have Polygon. Gon just means shape. So any shape that has many sides, like a square or a triangle or a rectangle, or they're all polygons, right? They have many shapes. Okay, then polyglot. So this is, glot means language, many languages. So a polyglot is a person who speaks many languages, which would be exactly the same as the Latin multilingual. So from our previous videos, we learned that lingual means language and multi means many. So if you speak many languages, you're multilingual or you're a polyglot. Either way, so two different words that mean the same thing, but one is from a Latin origin and the other one is from a Greek origin. And maybe this explains why English has multiple words for the same thing, probably because they come from different origins, right? That's why. So a polyglot is a person who speaks many languages. Then we have polyamorous. Amorous means love. So many love, polyamorous. A polyamorous person is a person who, opposite to monogamous, which means you have one partner, one girlfriend, one wife, or whatever. Polyamorous means multiple sexual partners, basically, right? And then we have a polymath. Now, you might think math as in mathematics, but that's not what that means. Math in this context means learning. So a polymath, many learning, that's a person who knows a lot of different things. Maybe they have multiple degrees in multiple different areas, and they're very learned, very educated in many areas, right? Not just like a specialist in one field, but they actually have multiple specialities. So polymaths are pretty rare because it's not easy to be an expert in one thing, let alone many things, right? Okay. So our next prefix is omni, and omni means all or every. So the first example is omnipotent. Potent means power. So omnipotent means, notice that I'm not saying omnipotent, I'm saying omnipotent. So my syllable pronunciation there is a little bit different from what you might expect, right? You might think omnipotent, but actually omnipotent is how you say it. All-powerful. This is one of the characteristics traditionally given to the Christian God, right? All-powerful. Same as our next example, omniscient. Omniscience means knowledge or knowing. So omniscient means you know everything, right? So again, another characteristic of the Christian God, all-powerful and all-knowing. Our next example is omnivore. Now, vor means to eat or devour, all eating. So, but humans are omnivores, but it doesn't mean we eat everything. So if we have carnivore, which means eating meat, and herbivore, which means eating plants, humans do both. We eat plants and meat, so we are omnivore, right? So it doesn't technically mean eat everything, because we don't eat everything, but I guess we can eat all foods. I guess that's what it means, right? Okay, and our fourth example is omnipresent. That means being present everywhere. And again, another characteristic attributed to the Christian God. Christian God is everywhere all the time, knows everything, and is all-powerful, right? And the last one is omnidirectional, all directions. So you could think of like an antenna, and it kind of goes around in all directions, all like a 360 degree. That's an omnidirectional antenna, right? It points in all directions, right? Okay. And our fifth prefix is extra, and extra means outside or beyond. Similar to super. Remember Superman, supernatural, similar. But we can't really I don't think we would cross them over. So we can't just replace them. So like supernatural, you can't just say extra natural. That actually doesn't work. So they're not interchangeable, even though they kind of mean the same thing. So for extra, first example is extraterrestrial. Terrestrial means Earth. Terra is Earth. So all things related to Earth, all things from Earth are terrestrial. We are terrestrial. I am terrestrial. You are terrestrial. If you're extraterrestrial, that means you're outside of the Earth. So we use extraterrestrial to describe aliens, for example. Remember the movie E.T.? That means extraterrestrial, right? From outside the Earth. So aliens are extraterrestrial, or anything, you know, the moon is extraterrestrial, technically, right? Because it's outside the Earth. So anything in space is extraterrestrial. Then we have either two ways to pronounce this: extraordinary or extraordinary. You could say it either way. And that's just like, so you're not ordinary, you're beyond ordinary. So it means like being very, very special or amazing. You're extraordinary, right? You're more than outside the normal kind of levels, right? You're extraordinary. Then we have extracurricular. Curricular is the course that you would learn at school. So if it's extracurricular, it's outside of school. So if you do any special courses that are outside of school, like maybe like martial arts or learn music or something like that, if you learn it but it's not a part of your regular schoolwork, then it's extracurricular because it's outside courses, right? Outside of your normal school. Then we have extradition. So this is a little bit complicated, but how this works is it's outside a jurisdiction of a country. So extradition is effectively if you do a crime in your country and then you run away to another country, then extradition means this country, if the police catch you, if the two countries have an agreement, then they would send you back. That's called extradition. They hand you over outside of their own jurisdiction. So this is like a legal term for sending somebody back to their home country because they were criminals in their home country and their home country wants to put them in prison, right? Now, some places don't have extradition agreements, in which case you could run away to that country and you would be safe. You wouldn't go to jail and your government wouldn't be able to get you, right? So that depends on the relationship between the two countries. Okay, and our last one is extramarital. Marital means marriage, so extra means outside. So that's outside of marriage. So this is like having affairs or cheating or anything like that. So if you're cheating on your wife, that's extramarital, and you know, don't do that. All right, so let's recap these. Micro, very small. Macro, big. Poly, many. Omni, all. And extra, outside. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you have a good day, and see you next time. Bye-bye.